Should I discipline my kid in front of others? In general, I would say no, for the reasons that I'm going to give you here. Number one, because it's humiliating for your child. Remember, the goal of discipline is never to humiliate. The goal of discipline is to correct, to instruct, so that our child will grow up to be the kind of person that they're supposed to be. Reason number two, the people around you don't know the context. They don't know what's happened in the past. They don't know what the situation was earlier in the day. They don't know the experiences that you've had regarding this particular situation. So if they only see discipline in the moment, they'll make a judgment without having the context. A friend of mine was telling me that she was at the grocery store with her son, and they were in the aisle, and a little bit further down in the aisle was another customer that they did not know. And her son said, "I'm really tired of you guys disciplining me all the time." And my friend saw that the lady down the aisle was clearly listening to their conversation. And so my friend wisely said to her son, "Well, when was the last time you got disciplined?" And he said, "Well, I don't exactly remember." And she said, "Well, I remember. It was when you spit on the missionary from the church." And as soon as the lady down the aisle heard that, she kind of went, "Oh," and she walked away. Because now she had a little bit of context. And my friend was wise enough to put the entire thing in context. The third reason is because everyone around us wasn't necessarily raised in a good family that practiced musar, that is instruction, correction, discipline, according to the Bible. And so their experiences as a child may have been very negative. And so when they see discipline, they interpret it through the lens of their experiences. Reason number four is because there are people around us who didn't have kids. And if you haven't had children, you don't know what it's like to try to raise children correctly. So to avoid people who haven't had children misunderstanding, I recommend that you correct your children outside of their view as well. Reason number five is because even those who raise children quickly forget. I remember when I was a child, my mom was strict with me and she was very diligent. However, when we had children, my wife and I, my mother wasn't quite the same as she was when I was small. And so we can very quickly forget. So it's best that parents correct their children in private. Now, of course, it is very important that instruction is the priority in our home and family. So if that means that you need to leave the room or leave the store to rectify a situation, then that's what you should do. One time when our kids were small, my wife had a shopping cart full of food, and one of the kids was having a very difficult moment. So she put her shopping cart aside, took all the kids out to the car, dealt with the child that needed to be dealt with, hoping that when she went back in, her shopping cart was still going to be there and they hadn't put everything back. But she did what she needed to do because it was so important that proper correction and instruction were a priority. Thankfully, when she got inside, her cart was still there. Now, as a final note about this, I would say that if your child is under 2, it's okay to correct them in front of their siblings, because this shows their siblings that you have a consistent standard. So when the older siblings see the younger child being corrected, they know that the rule is the same for everybody, and it reinforces what you're trying to inculcate in the lives of your older children.